How, on behalf of them, we will do our studies, we will improve, we will become a better person, sometimes for our own self, sometimes for the devotion of the Lord, sometimes for our Shraddha towards the Guru Parampara. So, whatever motivates us on a particular day should be our basis for Sankalpa. But ultimately, we should take that this day I will make the best effort to focus, to imbibe the truth, and to apply in my life. Om Namo Narayanaya. So we can look at this contemplation first. This is for the this is for the shloka on the Sthita Prajna. So the here the question Sthita Prajna, as we said, is the person who has realized the ultimate truth. So what is the state of realization? So what understanding are we gaining or do we have? What is our notion about it? So first thing we should contemplate on that. Do I know about the different degrees of realization of saints? So all the saints' realization is not always the same. Different saints have different kinds of realization. But when we talk about Sthita Prajna, it is a state of Jivan Mukta, the final state of realization. So we should be able to have a clear conceptual understanding between the difference. What is the next stage in my own spiritual evolution? So based on where we are, so we should ask ourselves, if I want to get to that state, what is the next step? We may not be able to jump completely at any time, right? So what is my immediate next step? What do I need to do to move on my spiritual path? So what stage can I sincerely aspire towards? Then is my understanding of the ultimate liberation and freedom motivating me to make mental and spiritual progress in my life. So when we hear about this state of the saints, or that highest realization, so it should not become like a something that we say, oh, I can never get to that. It should be something that we should take up that, yes, I will work towards that, I will attain that, because that is the ultimate goal, or that is the path for everybody. So everyone, no matter where we are, will come to this part of ultimate realization. But the sooner we can, the less will be our suffering, the less will be the struggles in our life. Okay, all right. So now we are looking at the second chapter of the Gita, and as we just did the Mananam, this context of Sthita Prajna, we are looking at the state of that. And in the Bhagavad Gita, this is one of the few texts where it talks about the state of realization of a person. What is his state? Meaning, not just what he does, like how he speaks. So Arjuna, if you take literal question what Arjuna asked, how does he sit, how does he walk, how does he talk? And of course, he also asks, what is that state of samadhi that he is in, or she is in? So when we talk of that person, that being who has realized that ultimate truth, sthita prajna, we discussed last class. Prajna means that wisdom. So here it is not any wisdom; it is that wisdom of the ultimate reality of oneself, of God, of this world, and all that. And so this person's wisdom is so deep that he is abiding in that. It is study. It is not a truth I know today and tomorrow I forget. See, many people, like they say, today I figured it out, but tomorrow again I forgot that. So, no, not like that. So, that wisdom is a part of him that he will never fall down into a kind of a lower ignorant state from there. So once you come to this ultimate state and abide in that, I mentioned that shloka, vidyate hridaya granthi, chiddante sarva samshaya, kshiyante chasya karmani, tasmin drishte paravare. So once you have that clear insight, clear knowledge of that, all that knots of the heart, our own vasanas, so somebody had asked, what about those vasanas which I don't even know about? It is lurking there. We discussed this in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. There are different kinds of vasana: prasupta, vichinna, thanu, and udhara. All this different does that based on how they're manifesting. So I might not know what vasanas I carry, right? When I come in contact with something, suddenly it might get enlivened, like a person, he may never have had some kind of an addictive drink or something. So one day he comes in contact with that, and suddenly it kind of catches him. In that sense, he gets so caught up with that. So those are like vasanas from past. We don't know why it was there. So all this, so the knowledge, see, the idea is that once we are breaking through that knowledge, we don't have to look at one vasana at a time. Like I have this vasana, I will have to overcome that. Of course, from a practical point, it is helpful. Like if someone has anger issues, it is helpful for you to work on it. Otherwise, it will cause problem. But it is not like one by one you work on this, then ultimately one day you get realization. That is not the path. The path here is that you do your best to work on those shortcomings. Wherever it is aware, wherever you become aware, whenever it starts manifesting, you have to work on it. If you have certain habits, if you have certain aversions, or if you have certain fears, so it is good you can try to overcome that. But how? Through abiding in knowledge. And how do you abide in knowledge? Through all your practices, that chitta shuddhi will happen. So through all the practices and through listening to that scriptures, meditating and contemplating on the scriptures, and doing your other practices, meditation, japa, whatever are your practices, yoga. So all that contribute ultimately, and they will ultimately cut asunder, as it says here, right? Vidyate hridaya granthi. Chidyante sarva samshayaha, all your doubts, all the wrong notions we have, not just the doubts, the wrong notions we carry. I have some idea about reality, but once I get a direct experiential insight into that, then all that wrong notions are gone. Huh? Shiyante chasya karmani, all the work you have to do. This person is called Krutartha. He has done everything, he's accomplished everything that he has to accomplish in life. So if you, for example, if you have worldly goals, you want to become like somebody has a desire to become an IAS officer. It's the highest government official here in India. So let's say you work on that, but after reaching your goal, is your job complete? No, you still have other duties that comes with IAS officer. You start working there, and that itself is another kind of thing. So it is endless, right? Those karmas are endless there. So we say, right, until when do you have your duties? This is a one of the fundamental questions. And we say sometimes, you have to do your duties. We tell people, right? You have to do your duties. When do you have to do your duties? Until when do you have to do the duties? So as long as there is the kartrutva buddhi, there is kartavya. So, and I put it in another way, as long as there is a sense of doership, then you are bound to the duties of life. This is the pravritti marga, what is saying, that your duties are there as long as you have a sense of doership. How does this sense of doership come to an end? The sense of doership comes to an end through pure abiding in this knowledge. So that is the state of sthita prajna. So once one attains this state, that sense of doership is gone, and along with that, that sense of enjoyership also is gone. So that person has become freed in this life, but still there is some karma which is left. Vasanas are not binding him anymore, or her. But the karmas, which we call prarabdha karma, are there. So that aspect of suffering is going on. Whatever's enjoying or suffering is going on. So in this life, the body will continue, but it will not cause the same degree of mental suffering as it does to an ignorant person. So this is the fundamental kind of a difference, that suffering or activities of a person, the karma in this life that person has to undergo, those will not be the binding kind of suffering. So for most of us, if I am suffering about something, then it leaves a bad taste in our mouth, right? We say, like if you let's say if you've been with somebody for many years, you break up with that person, and then or you separate, then what happens? That suffering is one thing, and that suffering also will leave like a bad samskara, right? I'm a bad not a samskara. I can say like a samskara, like a bad effect. So that will kind of affect your other relationships also, right? Because you're now more cautious, you're more on the guard. So this is for an ignorant person, because that knowledge or that suffering, one is that suffering, then there is a suffering of that suffering, suffering caused by that suffering. Hmm. So that's the two things there. But for a person of knowledge, there is that actual just suffering he has to go through. There is no additional layer of suffering that is caused. Okay, so this is now the Sita Prajna. So then it was also now in the shloka we looked at, it was mentioned, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manon gatan. So this person has relinquished all the desires of the world. Any kind of desires that is possible in this world. And generally we say they're categorized under three things. The Vedic way of categorizing desires are under three things. Anybody remembers? What are the three categories of desires according to the Vedas?
पुत्रेषण
Ah,
वित्तेषण
yeah. One more.
Location?
Lokeshana. Putreshana, Vitteshana, Lokeshana. Putreshana means the desire for children, progeny, family. So this is the Vedic thing they say, as long as we have that, even if at the end of the life, if you still have some desire for your family, your children, and all that, right? You have to be reborn. Not just children, there is a famous story of Jada Bharata. Jada Bharata had a desire, has a strong attachment towards a deer. He was like a almost like a monk living in the forest. And then at some stage in his life, he was already very high advanced, but he saw a deer and he got attached to that. So this is the fundamental thing which we will see if we can discuss some point, that difference between attachment and that pure compassion. So he felt an attachment towards it. So when he was dying, he was thinking, what will happen to my deer? Who will look after my deer? So that caused him to be reborn. He was reborn as a deer, they say. So that is, of course, not literally we have to take it that way, but that attachment, it's a putreshana, that desire. Vitteshana is the wealth. Even though we have enough, we will never feel enough. That is the nature of the wealth or material things. There is never a thing where we say this is enough. No? So this is the Vitteshana. Lokeshana, when the worldly desires for fame or other world, that after I go, that world there also they should recognize me. So all these are the desires broadly classified, but there are also subcategories within this as well, and a subtle way for each one of us. So these are the desires that have to be renounced. Okay, now it was also mentioned that internal state. This is the internal state of the person, the internal state of the samadhi of the person. But the external state, like what is his interaction with the world? How does he interact with the world? does he hate people? Does he get really, attached to people? So what is that kind of thing? That question Arjuna had asked, how does he sit, walk, talk? Meaning, how does he interact in the world? What is his mental state when he interacts with the world? That is the spirit of the question. And that now the Bhagavan will answer that part of the question. The next two shlokas. So these three shlokas are very important. Like the one we have already done. The next three shlokas, next two shlokas. These are the shlokas that kind of give a working definition for us on what is the state of a sthita prajna. Okay, so now let us look at the so we'll look at these three shlokas today, starting with the shloka number 55. Now, 55 we've already looked at, but let us just chant again. So the three shlokas, starting from shloka number 55. You can please repeat after me. Shri Bhagavanuvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Prajahati yada kaman
प्रजहाति यदा कामान्
Sarvan Partha Manogatan
सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान्
Atmanyevatmana Tushtas
आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः
Tita Prajnastadochyate
स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते
Dukeshvanudvignamanas
दुःखेषु स्मनुद्विग्नमनाः
Sukeshu Vigatasprihah
सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः
विगतस्पृहः
Vitaragabhayakrodas
वीतरागभयक्रोध
Titadhirmuniruchyate
तितधिर्मुनिरुच्यते
तितधिर्मुनिरुच्यते
Yes sarvatra
यः
यः
सर्वत्रानभिस्नेहः
सर्वत्रानभिस्नेहः
Tat prapya shubhashubham
तत्तत्प्राप्य
शुभाशुभम्
शुभाशुभम्
Nabhinandati na dveshti
नाभिनन्दति न
नन्दति न
द्वेष्टि
द्वेष्टि
Tasya prajna pratishtitha
तस्य
तस्य
प्रज्ञा
प्रज्ञा
प्रतिष्ठिता
प्रतिष्ठिता
Ah. So the first it was said Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. And then the second part of that mantra was, so how is this person fulfilled? Meaning, if desires are a nature of human life, every human being, there will be some desire that will arise. So how does this person deal with desires? How does he process the desires? Atmanyev atmana tushtaha. Huh? In the self, by the self. If you put it like in a how is this person fulfilled? The self is content in the self, meaning I am content in myself. So this is how the definition is given. It is not like he needs something or somebody for him to be happy. He is content in himself only, or she is content in herself. So whomsoever we are, we can take it from that perspective. That kind of person who has attained the state where he's content in that atma only within oneself, that person is called as Trita Prajna. Now the second definition, how does he see the world? How does he, if he's already content with himself, then how does his interaction with the world happen? What happens when he faces life? Hmm? Dukkeshvanudvigna manaha. Let us say there is some sorrow that comes. So we say sorrow is of three kinds in our things. What are the three kinds of tapa? Sorrows. Right?
Adibautika, Adhyatmika, Adidevika.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidevika. There are three kinds of sorrows in this world. So, okay, let me just stop this. So there are three sorrows in the world, three kinds of sorrows. The first kind of sorrows in the world, in this world we all face, is personally we feel it in our body, mind, we feel it. If I hurt myself, or if I'm mentally, emotionally also. If I'm something happens, I get depressed. Somebody criticizes me. Somebody betrays me. So all that affects me mentally, right? And that will not allow me to do studies, that will not even allow me to do other sadhana also with proper spirit, right? So these are the obstacles in our path sometimes. Of course, it is also the motivation for our spiritual life. Why do we come on spiritual life is because we experience this suffering. So first kind is adhyatmika, then the next kind is adi bhautika. Like there are different things in the olden times, like in our forest and where we may stay and all. Sometimes here we, of course, nowadays where I stay, it is not that much. But even now, every now and then there are elephants. They'll come. Snakes will be there. But in the jungle, when mountains where we are, so that is told from that context, meaning your immediate environment, people, things. But for most of us today, many of you living in cities and all, then your other apartment neighbors, your other society, community, they are your problems. If some big marriage function is going on when you're attending your class, maybe they're playing your favorite music, and then that is an obstacle, right? So you can't focus. So that is the Adi Bhautika Tapa. Then the third one is the Adi Daivika. Mostly Adi Devika means like the troubles caused by gods, meaning lesser gods. But we mostly talk about the nature, especially the four problems all of us can face, right? Like here in the mountains and all, where or Ganga sometimes overflows, or there is cloud burst and water caused problems, landslides and all will happen. Then the earthquakes. Some cities are more prone to earthquakes. That is the earth-based problem. Then there is the fire-based problem, like if sometimes the heat, fire, even like the sun, overheating and all that, right? So and then the wind, wind cause problem. There's like some places they have the tornado, volcanoes. So all these are the Adi Daivika. So these are the sufferings that everybody in this thing, some way or the other, they go through. And one of the main point is that some of these are brought because of our own prarabdha. So when this does come, this will come even for a person who is realized as jnani, a sage, or many of the realized sage are also advanced sages, advanced whom we all revere, right? They also experience these problems. So when they do experience, so it is not like they will say some mantra and all this will go away. So this is not how the Gita's teachings are. Of course, we sometimes say like there are great beings, then there is less these things, but at the same time it is nature has its own thing. It is not going to say that okay, just because there are holy people here, no, not like that. The way Gita processes is that how does this person deal with that? Dukkeshu anudvigna mana. Anudvigna, he is unperturbed, untouched. That sorrow will come, but that sorrow will not cause another layer of sorrow. Huh? Anudvigna manaha. When the sorrow comes, what is the attitude? So the attitude of a saint when sorrow comes is he is not touched, he is not internally affected by it, unperturbed, we say, or unshaken, unshaken by life's challenges. So this is that when prarabdha, when your own karma, they come, and this is usually the rajoguna. The rajoguna in the prakriti causes all these things to happen. And when they come, when these problems come, then this person remains unperturbed, unshaken. Okay, then what about joy? No? Sukeshu vigataspraha. So then he can enjoy all the time, right? If he's not going to get, so he'll be elated all the time. So it is not like he'll be elated. So when that joy comes in that life, Shankaracharya gives a beautiful example. When the fire is going on, if you feed it with that fuel, that fire will light up. Huh? But that for that person, where the fire comes, there is no fuel, meaning if something good happens in life, it is okay. It is happening. It is not like, he's overexcited. Why is he not overexcited when that happy things come? Shouldn't we be jumping with joy when happy things come? No, because he knows that the nature of life is nothing is permanent. Even that joy that comes, outer joy, like if somebody, even they say that a person who wins this great, some scientific experiments are there, these people who win this great championships and all that, right? So they are, or they do some great success, like all this, sometimes, these famous artists, they have these huge shows and all, so they're excited, right? Like that huge joy, that huge idol, people are all respecting them. Then they become champion. So many people are doing that. So they say that after that event, that for about like few hours only, that will stay. They come back to that baseline state. There is this thing called our baseline happiness. So they fall back to that baseline state. So that excitement mentally you cannot hold on to all the time. Hmm? So this person knows that beforehand. So even when that comes, he remains in his internal state. He or she doesn't get caught up with that. And most importantly, because this sukha dukkha, where is sukha dukkha experienced? When we experience happiness, where do we experience this? Anybody?
The mind.
The mind, If you want to talk about the bodies, what kind of body experiences?
We feel like
No, I'm saying like of the three bodies, which body do we experience happiness and sorrow
Sukshma
in?
Sharira.
Sukshma
Sukshma
Sharira.
Sharira.
Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. See, the happiness and sorrow is in the subtle body. Why is a jnani not affected? Is because the jnani has, or the realized person has broken the identification even with the subtle body. So a realized person is not somebody who just say, I'm not the physical body. He also realizes I'm not the subtle body. So in the subtle body is all these vasanas, this experience of bhoktrutva, kartrutva, all that is in the subtle body. So the subtle body is one of the most important practices for a initial sadhaka, but as we come higher, we have to break even that identification with the subtle body. See, when we come on the spiritual path, like when you come as a devotee or a meditator or whatever path you take, the path of Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, or what is it? The path. Like of the four paths, the Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and then there is the Jnana Yoga, of course, and then there is one more yoga. Which one?
Karma Yoga.
Karma Yoga. See, all this are, why are we doing those things? Because we want to experience happiness at a subtle level. We move from what is called as the Vishayananda to Sukshmananda. This is the first step in the spiritual path. But later on, we want to move even from there. We want to shift to that pure happiness, that pure joy, what is called as Ananda or Paramananda. So to move to that, even that identification with the subtle body has to go. So that this is that state of this person, that both the sukha and dukkha, that dukkeshu anudugnyamaha, sukheshu vigataspraha. Then what else? Vita raga bhaya krodha. Raga we know. Raga means attachment, strong liking. One of the kleshas also we say, right? Raga dvesha we say. Raga, that strong attachment, that strong thing. So we all have certain attraction towards certain things. We don't know why. That is also part of our vasanas. They say, right? Like sometimes you meet a person, suddenly what is it? Some words are there, like that old fire is rekindled or something, meaning like you suddenly what is it? Yeah, some kind of a thing, like you suddenly feel like I know this person, I feel so that is the attraction from previous lives which we didn't resolve. So it manifests again, and this is also instinctive. It is there in every reason. This is the reason why like an animal, when it gives birth, like a cow, it gives birth to that calf. It gets so attached to that for few years, for few months actually, for few weeks probably. After that, suddenly they go apart, So that attraction is there. That is like a force which keeps them together. So it is also kind of a one of the downward moments of Prakriti. How the Prakriti brings that sense of duality that forces. So that, of course, we will talk about this, but it is also that one of that worldly notions of love, right? Like we get attached to people that based on that needs, that attraction we feel. That is a raga, but this person is beyond that. He has risen above that. Bhaya krodha. Bhaya is that fear. Fear is caused sometimes a sense of helplessness. Some object which are a kind of a destructive object, or a harmful object. When it comes to us, we feel a sense of fear. There's a sense of helplessness in that person. And then there's krodha, that you feel that you can fight with that force, with that for both are nothing but dvesha. So in other words, this is nothing but raga dvesha. This person is beyond raga dvesha. Sthitadhir muni ruchyate. So he is called as Sthitadhir. Okay, so this one of the acharya here, Ramanujacharya, he says that person has no longing to enjoy pleasures, even though the things which he likes are near him. He has no longing for them. He is free from desire and anger. Desire is a longing for object not yet obtained. He is free from them. Fear is affliction produced from the knowledge of factors which cause separation from the beloved, or from meeting that which is not desirable. He is free from that. Anger is a disturbed state of one's own mind which produces affliction and which is aimed at another sentient being who is the cause of separation from the beloved or of confrontation with what is not desirable. So this jnani, this Sthita Prajna, is free of all of this. Okay, next shloka is the same tone. Yas sarvatrani bisneha tatrat prapya shubha shubham. So he is sarvatra anabhisneha. So this word anabhisneha, sneha literally means the sense of friendship, attachment, a sense of affection. In its pure way, it is a sense of affection, friendliness, compassion. In a negative way, it is a sense of attachment, obsession, possessiveness. All this is represented by the word sneha. So sometimes, we say the word prema. Prema is a word for love. So the difference here is that the sneha is a form of prema. This is also a form of love, but it is a form of love. See, that Sanskrit word sneha, comes from this viscosity or something which is gluey, sticky kind of thing. So sneha here means like it sticks to you. You get attached to that. So that kind of a thing, that kind of an attraction that a person cultivates. So here, that kind of an affection, that see, the affection is not a problem, care is not a problem, compassion and friendliness is not a problem, but attachment and this sense of possessive kind of thing, that is a problem. That is keeps you bound to that person, bound to your own separate identity. It gives you a dualistic kind of an experience. It reinforces that dualism in us. So towards what? Towards Shubha Ashubham. He rejoices when there is good things, and he gets unhappy when there is bad things. Meaning, when he's with the person he likes, he's happy. When he's away from that person, or when he's with somebody he doesn't want to be, that he's not unhappy. He gets unhappy. So that state, and Nabi Nandati na dveshti. That person neither we already discussed this. He neither gets elated with good things, and nor he goes down with bad things. Meaning, if somebody praises him, somebody says, "You are very good. You do such a good job." He's not over elated, and nor is he too. Nor does he go down too much when somebody kind of criticizes him. He doesn't rejoice when somebody say you are good, nor does he kind of get overly disappointed when somebody criticizes him, or something good happens also, or something bad happens. Sarvatra. So the idea is that he has this kind of all-encompassing non-attachment. So this is the Gita's language here does not talk about how some texts talk about. See, in our other general Puranas or some texts, we talk about this unconditional love, this pure love, this love for everybody, and some religious texts, if you take, right, they talk about from this context. Gita doesn't use that kind of thing. Gita doesn't talk about this loving everybody. You have to go out and love everyone. You have to show that same love to everybody. See, this is again why it doesn't talk about this, is because this aspect of understanding what is this pure love towards everybody is a very difficult thing. So that is why, it's how I was telling somebody in that group. So we cannot unpack this directly from just the scriptural point. We have to use our insight, and we have to use our analysis. Why Gita will not exactly say go out and love everybody. What Gita will say is you have to have that sense of what do you call, like a non-binding attachment towards everyone, which is another way of saying you have to love everybody. But it will not say like that. It will just say that you shouldn't have too much attraction towards anybody, nor should you hate anybody. So this is the way of saying that, you should na abhinan what is that word? Anabhisneha. Everywhere you should show that non-attachment to with everyone and everything. You should show that non-attachment. And then it says you should continue to have that state of where you're just shubha ashubha. You're not hankering for this special love or special happiness from anybody or anything. So see, the point here is that uh, if you look from a pure non-dualistic perspective, what we say as happiness and sorrow. See, happiness and sorrow is an experience of an ignorant person. But this whole world, whatever we experience in this whole world, is like a dreamlike experience to a realized person. So when let's say you are having a dream, but you are some in that state of lucidity where you are able to see your dream, you realize you're dreaming, then you will not get that much attached to that dream. So a waking state is like that for a jnani. He is not. So there is no like an individual personal love so much that Gita advocates. Yet you see Lord Krishna telling Arjuna many times, "You are my dear friend. You are so close to me." Almost like saying, like, I give you my real pure love. And out of this love and compassion, I'm teaching you. In that sense, he tells him. So there again, we have to understand. So when we talk about this, for this thing of love, there is this three ways of thing. Like everything in Gita, you will see in later sections, gets divided under sattvic, rajas, and tamas. So there is the sattvic love that is there between God and devotee in the first place. So when we come to bhakti, when we adore God, what we are told is we come out from the tamasic and rajasic kind of love in the world to that sattvic love. See, that is the first kind of thing. And whom do you practice with? You practice it with the guru, the tradition, and with God Supreme. So Guru, God, and all that. These are the people with whom you practice that sattvic love, unconditional love, pure love. So, but yet again, that is a dualistic thing. So there again, so the state of a sthita prajna is beyond even dualism. So he doesn't need to practice that love towards Guru and God. That comes as natural outpouring for him or her. It is not something they have to practice as such. So, what is that state which you have to practice? So, the practice for us is that practicing that sattvic love. We practice that love towards that God. So, how do you get to that, and how do you go beyond even that sattvic love? Is breaking attachments. So anywhere, any place, anybody you get attached to, then that is a problem according to Gita. Why? Because that will create two things. Either it will create an attraction to that person, and if it is a personal love, then you will have a kind of a dvesha towards somebody else whom you think will come in between your relationship with that person. So this is why, the first thing of Gita is it tries to break this kind of a sense of personal love, meaning that personal love that is based on the dualistic thing. So of course, there's a lot we can talk about it, and I mentioned we will discuss in some other kind of a satsang kind of a class, because this is not the direct teaching of Bhagavad Gita. But we have to just understand that points here. Some of the main thing about love. What is it? It is that state of that Satchit Ananda. That when we say that pure love, there is no such word in that real shastras to explain that. So, what is the closest is that we seek that love because it brings us happiness. See, why do we want love? We want love because we feel it will bring us happiness. So that love is connected in that supreme state with Ananda, that Satchit Ananda, when we say. So the as such, that love is universal. Another way of saying it is impersonal. There is no that kind of love is doesn't have that personal thing. Meaning, I don't have to make an effort to love somebody if I have that knowledge, if I have a realization. Uh, so the nature of consciousness itself is love. But when we reduce that consciousness identification with consciousness to body or mind identification, then that becomes a dualistic love. We seek somebody. So that famous quote by I think Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He says that that river that flows into that ocean has become that ocean. Huh? So what has happened to that river? Has that river gone? No, it is not gone. It has not died. It has become that ocean itself. Meaning it doesn't see any difference between itself and others. So that kind of love does not need like to be. You don't need to keep telling that person, "I love you" and I care for you. So that is that natural expression of that love. So when we even say divine love, somebody had mentioned divine love. So that divine love again here is a practice, because we don't have that real realization, we don't have the understanding what we are going towards. We learn to practice it. What is the practice? We start loving God, our guru or somebody. So this becomes then like a divine love, meaning we are trying to purify that love. There is no expectations, there is that purity, there is that giving. So it becomes a pure thing. But there, of course, when we say Maya, what is Maya doing? Maya is getting you back to the Rajas and Tamas state of love. So so this is why most human love, it at that uh, uh, physical identification level, it cannot survive that purity. So that is why, like when we establish in that knowledge, then that outpouring which comes spontaneously, that is that state, which here he's talking about, that state where you're everywhere unattached. But yet you care for the people. It is not like a saint doesn't care for anybody, right? The saint has a natural caring, like just as the example is given, like how when you hurt your leg, your hand will reach out and take care of that leg, right? It will nurse that leg. So that hand here is like you as a realized person, and the leg is somebody else. So you naturally care. You will not stop and think. Uh, I remember that one of our touring, when I was with another organization, we would go around giving talks, or go around different. So sometimes we had to travel on flights. So on one flight we were going. I was going with somebody whom I had a lot of respect with, and he was a very senior sannyasin. And so we were hurrying, we were rushing, the gates were closing, and we were late. So as we were running, there was a mother. She was holding some cradle and trying to address something for the child, and that her bag was falling apart. So this we were almost running. He stopped. He almost held that cradle for a second until she could gain her balance, and then before even she could say thank you, we were back running. So it was now such a, I saw that is a natural outpouring. It was almost for me like practical demonstration where it was like where he didn't, it was like such a natural thing. He didn't even think, oh, we're going to miss the flight. It was like so that kind of a natural outpouring, that is what we are craving from when it comes spontaneously. But if you're attached to somebody, so if you are get to that personal attached love, then that if that person is there with you, then you're happy. If he doesn't come, he doesn't, then you're unhappy. That is not the thing. Of course, with gurus, it is different. The teacher sometimes, does that kind of thing with students so that they learn. But the real kind of a jnani, internally there is no the change. Okay, so we will leave it at this. Some of these are like long topics, but the point here is that state of sthita prajna. Sthita prajna is that person who, who is beyond the sense of individuality. He doesn't hold that individual identification. It is even kind of sometimes erroneous to say that he has a universal identification. We say this because there is no better language, but there is not even that universal identification. That universal identification means we are admitting that there is this universe, there is you, there is me, and all of that. In that, I am realized, you are not realized. So, all that is again a deeper level of ignorance. Okay, this is too much stuff I've given, but anyway, think about all of this. Any questions, comments people have, you can ask. If you have, you can ask right away. Yeah, somebody.
Me,
Correct.
Swamiji, just a doubt. This love can be also said like Vishesha and Samanya. Vishesha
That
with
is the idea. Correct. That is the idea
It,
that Vishesha, that thing, so that love, if you take on a level of Vishesha, meaning individual, Vishesha means specific, individual, Samanya means universal. So if you take love at a universal, at a individual level, then it can lead to attachment, personal attachment. So, but what happens to a jnani is in that individual, he sees the universal. Hmm. So I like if, for example, if let's say you think you want to practice your love with somebody, so if you look at that person as that person, individual, that name, whatever name, Ram, Sham, whatever, then what happens? You have to practice that. You will bring gifts, you will do good things, you will do thanks. So that is a. But if in that person you see the universal, so this is the first state of purifying that love. Somebody spoke about divine love, right? So what is divine love is you see the God, you see the divine being in the individual. Then what happens? You're not relating to that person, you are relating to that God in that person. But that is also a practice at that stage. A natural outpouring of love doesn't even need that concept. It needs that pure understanding that there is that one reality, that I am not different from anybody. There is no such thing as even loneliness for me. Because loneliness is there when I am there alone and somebody else is there out there. Anybody else? You can ask, don't wait until the last minute to ask me, if you have anybody else or any comment. Okay, uh, okay, so here again, the focus, as we had discussed about this before, that before it was mentioned, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. So there, what was the practice was that whatever results you get in life, you accept it. So that was based on the results. Here, what is happening is he is taking that Karma Yoga's thing where when you already get something, when things happen in your life, they are an outcome of something that was done in the past. So if today something is happening, sometimes people face some what you call like a terminal health condition, right? So this is like the, in a way, like a karmic thing which has come from the past. So if you gain that spiritual realization in this life, and then this karma is coming, it is coming from previous lives. So you cannot work so much at getting upset about all that. You learn how to deal with that. Mm. So that is that samatvam again here, practicing that state of samatvam. So that is the focus here for that person. He has already practiced that samatvam, and he becomes a natural. It becomes like a spontaneous outpouring, because that realization has reached in him that there is, all this are ups and downs of life. But I am not really affected by them internally. I am pure. Okay, any questions I missed out? Somebody had asked about. I think I answered this. Can unknown desires from any previous janma cause obstruction attaining sthita prajna in present life? So yeah, that is the thing, right? These are the tapas. The tapas are also manifestation in some way from the vasanas. We have attracted them. Our karma vasanas, we attract them. So how do we recognize them? So again, the recognition, if we can, we should recognize. But the point here is that one by one, it is very difficult to uproot our vasanas. When that realization comes, then all those vasanas, all those karmas will break away. They will fall away.
Swami,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Are you
go.
going to continue?
No. Tell me.
No, because of these vasanas. For example, when we study the Yoga Sutra,
yes,
the
correct.
idea is to work all the vasanas, or no?
Yes. Yeah, Yoga Sutras, that is the focus.
They say that we have to burn all the vasanas so that.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is true. There is we have to overcome the kleshas, the vasanas, and all that. So there is the two methods here. One is even in Yoga Sutras when we look at it deeply. Those are the practices for a sadhaka. But ultimately, even in Yoga Sutras, that how do you break free? How do you completely break them? How do you become free? That nirbija samadhi and all we say. And how do you go beyond nirbija samadhi is that when that viveka, there viveka is between purusha and prakriti happens. When you have that complete knowledge that what is purusha, what is prakriti, and you differentiate between them, then that knowledge will ultimately eradicate all the bijas, all the seeds. uh, so that is the ultimate kind of a remedy. Mm. So, in order to come to that, you have to purify some vasanas. See, even for knowledge to happen, so this is almost like sometimes a trap. Sometimes we say, without that purification of vasanas, you cannot gain knowledge. And sometimes we say that knowledge in itself is a purifier. So, both ways we have to take it. When we are at that basic level, we have to work at purifying. But at the same time, the knowledge itself is also purifying. Both. And actually, I remembered you had that other question. So the kleshas, that when we talk about the kleshas, so there is the samskara. The kleshas I mentioned is that negative samskaras. So there is the positive samskaras. The positive samskaras, meaning in Bhagavad Gita, they are not called so much as kleshas. It will come later. Deva Asura Sampatti, it will come. Deva means divine qualities. So they are the divine qualities we have to cultivate. And the Asura Sampati is some of these kleshas, which is like, for example, Asmita in itself has many. It has like Damba, pride, arrogance, that high hypocrisy. See, all these are coming from Asmita. So all like that, different derivatives are given here in Bhagavad Gita from this. But yeah, there are this daiva sampatis, and these are things that we are all universally expected to cultivate. So many of us have it in some extent. So there are, if I'm right, I think it is 26. I think, right? Jagdish ji should know 26, 24 or 26. I think
26, Swamiji.
26. 26. Abhayam sattva samshuddhir jnana yoga vyamastitihi dhanam damascha yajnasya swadhyaya taparjavam ahimsa satyam akrodha tyaga shanti rapeshanam daya bhuteshvaloluptvam mardvam hrira chapalam teja kshama dhruti shaucham adroho nati manitaha bhavanti sampadam devim abhijatasya bharata, he will say. These are the 20, like Abhayam. See, the first one is fearlessness. What is the last klesha? Is fear. One of the first qualities is fearlessness, Abhayam. Sattva samshuddhi, purity of mind, what we talk about here. So these are the positive qualities we have to cultivate, and these are the qualities which help us where it helps us in gaining and stabilizing in that knowledge. So, so that question, does each jiva have their own, or is there something common to us like the clay? So that these are the meaning they're common in the sense they are attributes we all have to cultivate. It's not like a shared thing. It is like we all have to each one have to cultivate this daya, compassion, which we talked about. Okay, all right, we will leave it at this. Let us say a closing prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.